Long ago, in the kingdom of Odorachukwu, there reigned a king named Obieze. He was a fierce and proud ruler, known for his stubbornness and refusal to heed warnings. Though his land was prosperous, he was a man who challenged the gods, believing his power was greater than any celestial force. One night, as the wind howled through the palace, a dark mist seeped into the great hall. The guards trembled as a figure emerged, a being with wings as black as the void, eyes glowing like burning coals. It was Oluebube, the angel of darkness, a celestial force sent to warn the king. "Obieze," Oluebube's voice echoed like a storm. "The gods have seen your pride, your arrogance. You have defied their will, and your people will suffer unless you change your ways." But the king only laughed, his golden crown gleaming in the firelight. "Who are the gods to command me? This is my kingdom. I bow to no one, not even to an angel of darkness." Oluebube's wings spread wide, casting shadows across the walls. "Defy me, and the land will wither, the rivers will dry, and your people will curse your name." Still, the king was unmoved. "Do your worst," he bellowed. And so, Oluebube vanished into the night, leaving only the scent of burning embers behind. The very next day, the sky turned an unnatural shade of red. The once bountiful fields shriveled into dust. The rivers that once sang through the land fell silent. Famine and disease spread, and the people who had once cheered for their king now whispered curses in the dark. But still, King Obieze refused to kneel. On the seventh night, as the kingdom lay on the brink of ruin, Oluebube returned. This time, he did not speak. He raised a hand and the earth trembled. Shadows stretched like living things, swallowing the palace whole. When the darkness faded, the kingdom of Odorachukwu was gone. Not a single soul remained, only ruins swallowed by time. Legends say that Oluebube did not destroy the land out of anger, but as a lesson. And sometimes on stormy nights, travelers claim to see a lone figure walking through the empty fields, his crown rusted, his robes in tatters, the ghost of the stubborn king, forever wandering, searching for redemption. The moment Oluebube swallowed the kingdom of Odorachukwu into darkness, he did not leave. He stood at the ruins, his burning eyes fixed on the last survivor, the stubborn King Obieze. The once proud king was now on his knees, his golden crown dented, his royal robes torn. The silence around him was suffocating. His palace, his people, his kingdom vanished into nothingness. But still, his pride held strong. "You think this frightens me, angel of darkness?" Obieze spat. "I am a warrior. I will rebuild. You will see." Before he could finish, Oluebube raised his blackened hand. Instantly, chains of pure shadow shot from the ground, wrapping around the king's limbs like living snakes. They tightened, burning his flesh with the cold fire of the underworld. "You will not rebuild," Oluebube declared, his voice shaking the earth. "You will not rule. You will not die. You will suffer." Then, with a single whisper, the angel of darkness sent Obieze plunging into the abyss. The Abyss of Eternal Torment. The king fell for what felt like centuries, darkness swallowing him whole. When he finally landed, he was no longer in the world of men. Jagged mountains of bone stretched into the sky, rivers of molten shadow flowed endlessly, and screams of the damned echoed through the void. Obieze stood in a pit of burning sand, his skin searing, yet he did not burn. His suffering would not grant him death. From the shadows, creatures with hollow eyes and elongated limbs crawled toward him. Their whispering voices filled his ears. "King Obieze, the stubborn king, the cursed king, forgotten king." They reached for him, their cold fingers dragging him into the depths. He struggled, but the chains of Oluebube still held firm, binding him in place. And then, Oluebube appeared again, his dark wings stretching across the sky like the night itself. "You defied the gods. You mocked their warnings. Now, you will know the fate of those who challenge the divine." Obieze screamed, but no one would hear him. No one would remember him. The Curse of the Restless King. For eternity, Obiez was trapped in the abyss, tormented by the very shadows he once ignored. But Oluebube was not finished. As a final act of vengeance, he left a single trace of Obiez's suffering in the mortal world. Every year, on the night of the blood moon, a shadowy figure appears in the ruins of Odarachukwu, a ghostly king, his mouth open in an endless scream, his body wrapped in chains of darkness. And those who dare to mock the gods? They hear a whisper in the wind. "Do your worst," it says, and then the darkness takes them too. Centuries passed, yet the restless spirit of King Obiez remained bound in torment. Every blood moon, his wretched form would rise in the ruins, the air grew thick with shadows. A chilling wind howled, and suddenly, the cursed form of King Obiezi emerged from the darkness. His eyes were hollow, his once mighty frame now a tattered ghost, wrapped in Oluebube's unbreakable chains. "Who dares disturb my suffering?" Obiez's voice was hollow, but there was still defiance in it. "I am Adanna, daughter of Odarachukwu. I seek justice for my people. I seek to end your curse." The ghostly king laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "Justice? There is no justice, only the will of the gods, and their will is eternal suffering." But before he could say more, the sky darkened further, and a familiar presence descended. Oluebube, his wings stretching across the heavens, emerged from the void. His fiery gaze fell upon Adanna. "You are bold, child," Oluebube said, "but justice is not easily won. Your ancestor defied the gods. Do you seek to challenge them as well?" Adanna stood her ground. "I do not challenge the gods. I seek their mercy. My people should not suffer for one man's pride." Oluebube's expression did not change. He turned to Obiezi. "You have wandered in agony for centuries. Do you now understand the weight of your arrogance?" For the first time, the ghost of Obiez did not respond with defiance. He lowered his head. "I was blind. I thought myself greater than the gods. But now I see I was nothing." Oluebube lifted a hand, and the chains around Obieze tightened. The air crackled with divine energy. "And do you seek forgiveness?" The ghost of the king, once too stubborn to kneel, finally bowed. "Yes, if not for me, then for my people." For the first time, silence filled the ruins. Then Oluebube raised both hands, and a burst of dark light erupted from the sky. The chains shattered, and the ghostly form of Obieze let out one final, piercing cry before fading into the wind. The blood moon dimmed. The land, long abandoned, trembled. Where once there had been only ruins, new life began to sprout. The kingdom of Odarachukwu, lost for centuries, was given a second chance. Adanna fell to her knees, overcome with awe. Oluebube gazed at her, his voice softer now. "The gods have granted mercy, but remember this, child, pride is a poison. Never let it consume your heart, or you will share his fate." With that, the angel of darkness spread his wings and vanished into the night. Under Adanna's leadership, the people returned to the land, rebuilding their lost kingdom with humility and wisdom. The legend of the stubborn king remained, not as a tale of power, but as a warning. Those who defy the gods may rise high, but they will fall even harder, and some falls never end.